Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to play a little music to give more people time to come in, and then we will get started. All right, second here. All right, this one is Ezekiel's wheel. All right, yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. Ezekiel saw the wheel way up in the middle of the air. Vision so divine, y'all spirit was there. Four living creatures moving as one, wings outstretched, shining like the sun. Eyes all around, burning bright within. Ezekiel stood amazed at the glory of him. Four living creatures moving as one, wings outstretched, shining like the sun. Eyes all around, burning bright within. Ezekiel stood amazed at the glory of him. Ezekiel saw the wheel, saw the wheel. Yeah, Ezekiel saw the wheel, saw the wheel. Yeah. Spirit of Yah, moving through the land. Mysteries revealed by his holy hand. What he shows no man can spin. Just like Ezekiel on the wheel again. Neo's Vio, turning in the sky, full of holy fire, lifted up on high. Spirit in a vision, glory rushing in. Power of Yahweh, the wheel keeps spinning up. We saw the heavens open, the throne of flame, the voice of the Most High calling his name. Wheels within wheels moving side to side. Where the spirit went, the wheel would glide. Fire in the center, light in the storm. God's glory shining, breaking the norm. Wheels keep turning, vision won't end. Same spirit moving now as it did back then. Ezekiel's wheel turning in the sky, full of holy fire, lifted up on high. Spirit in the vision, glory rushing in. Power of Yahweh, the wheel keeps spinning up. Yeah. Y'all still moving, wheel within a wheel. Yeah. Ezekiel saw the wheel, saw the wheel. Yeah. Ezekiel saw the wheel, saw the wheel. Yeah. Ezekiel saw the wheel, saw the wheel. Yeah. Ezekiel saw the wheel.
All right, y'all. I'm going to get the videos up. Let me just stop that. Eight. Okay. So this happened in Georgia, ladies and gentlemen. It was South Koreans working at a Hyundai plant, and ICE raided them, and it's supposed to be the biggest raid in American history. All right. So they got nearly 500 people around the same location. So, yes, it made the news because you know how these folks are. They're braggadocious, getting all of these South Koreans. And the whole plant were South Koreans. And that just goes to show you somebody had to bring them over. That definitely was not a coincidence that they were all South Koreans. So I'm going to go ahead and share the video. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you.
They find undocumented immigrants at a Hyundai manufacturing site in Georgia, and more people were detained at the business in New York. Welcome back to Action News Midday.
Now, the move sparked anger and frustration with the New York governor, who is saying she's outraged by people being separated from their families. ABC's Rena Roy has the very latest.
475 people detained by immigration officials at a Hyundai manufacturing site in Ellabelle, Georgia, Thursday, just west of Savannah. The ATF Atlanta offices posting these images on social media, saying they were there to assist.
This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant.
Department of Homeland Security officials say this was part of an ongoing criminal investigation into allegations of unlawful employment practices and other serious federal crimes. DHS saying it underscores the commitment to protecting jobs for Georgians, ensuring a level playing field for businesses that comply with the law, safeguarding the integrity of our economy, and protecting workers from exploitation.
There are no criminal charges being announced today.
More than 24 people detained are South Korean. The country's foreign ministry voicing, quote, concern and regret over the incident at the plant, which is run by South Korean companies, saying individuals' rights should not be unfairly infringed upon. Meanwhile, in upstate New York on the same day, at least 40 people were detained at a factory that makes specialty nutrition bars.
The workers here, like I said, they're great people. Love every single one of them. We can't do what we do without them.
I won't support any effort to separate families. I think it's appalling. I have said all along, I will help the federal government remove people who are threats, that are violent criminals. This is what the president promised during his election. This is what we were told. Go after the worst of the worst. It's all we heard about. And now you have raids.
Now, officials have not provided details on that New York operation, but the local sheriff's office says it was a Department of Homeland Security criminal investigation. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And ABC's Luke Barr has more on that. So, Luke, what's the latest on this raid?
Well, Diane, this is the largest raid in Homeland Security investigations history. And this didn't initially start out as an immigration raid. This was a criminal investigation that actually turned into, that big raid. 475 individuals arrested. Most were Korean nationals, according to the special agent in charge who just gave a briefing to reporters. They say that they looked at the network of subcontractors that this plant used. They went in, they wanted to investigate who was working there, and then they had all of the documents checked that needed to be checked, and then they turned those that needed to go to ICE. They turned them over to immigration authorities for processing and for potential deportation.
This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant. Yesterday, we executed that search warrant and gathered additional evidence that will support this investigation. There are no criminal charges being announced today, but this is an ongoing matter. While we were on the premises, we did encounter many hundreds of individuals. Of those, as I've previously mentioned, 475 were illegally present in the United States or in violation of their presence in the United States, working unlawfully, who have entered through a variety of different means into the United States, some that illegally crossed the border into the United States, some that came in through visa waiver and were prohibited from working, some that had visas and overstayed their visas. And each individual was questioned on their status, their documents were checked, their backgrounds were checked, and ultimately through coordination of our experts and attorneys in the background, those that were found to be illegally present were then detained and turned over to ICE enforcement and removal operations custody. But this is all in furtherance of the ongoing investigation where we are looking at employment practices. We made seizures yesterday as part of that to gather additional evidence and conducted interviews and are continuing this ongoing investigation.
You know how the president keeps saying that he's going to bring in a manufacturing boom into the United States? Well,
I would just say this to people in Canada or Mexico: if they're going to build car plants, the people that are doing them are much better off building here.
ICE officials arresting 475 workers at a Hyundai plant in Georgia, which I believe is still in the United States of America, says otherwise, Mr. President.
Very exciting for the automobile companies.
I'm certain it will be a very exciting time for manufacturers in the United States, Mr. President, considering the fact that you like to change your policies based on how the wind is blowing, and the fact that those same policies will get manufacturers raided in the United States for hiring one single immigrant worker. It's going to be a great time for them. Oh, and considering the fact that almost all of your indictments have been thrown out in LA and DC, just like what was happening during the 1765 pre-revolutionary protests against British taxes, I'm sure this is going to be very exciting, but not in a good way, Mr. President.
ICE has arrested nearly 500 workers at a Hyundai plant in Georgia. This is the largest one-day worksite raid that we've ever seen ICE conduct, and it happened at a South Korea battery maker at a Hyundai plant in Georgia near Savannah. 475 people were arrested, most of whom are South Korean citizens. According to DHS, the individuals arrested were either here in the United States illegally or working illegally in the United States. I've seen some reports that suggest that some U.S. citizens and green card holders were also apprehended and were later released. According to a statement put out by DHS, it says that this operation underscores our commitment to protecting jobs for Georgians and Americans, ensuring a level playing field for businesses that comply with the law. Guys, this is just the beginning. I've talked with you in the past about the fact that businesses should gear up for more of these worksite raids to take place. Ensure that you're employing individuals who are here lawfully in the United States and authorized to work here in the United States. Prepare your company for a possible raid. Get your protocols in place, train your people, and just do things on the up and up. I'm covering all things related to Trump immigration changes. Follow for more.
And officials say this was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of Homeland Security investigations. 475 people were taken into custody. Homeland Security officials stood alongside several federal agencies who helped with this joint operation to detail these raids. Investigators say the majority of those detained were Korean nationals working through subcontractors at the construction site, and the individuals overstayed visas or crossed the border illegally. They confirmed some individuals are now being held at a facility in Bucks County. Now, authorities say this operation has been in the works for more than a year and started with tips about unlawful employment practices. Homeland Security investigations are emphasizing this was not just a roundup of immigrants, but part of a broader criminal inquiry.
This was not a immigration operation where agents went into the premises, rounded up folks, and put them on buses. This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant.
Now, Hyundai says it is cooperating fully with federal authorities, and production inside the existing EV plant was not interrupted. This plant has been called the biggest economic development project in state history. Meanwhile, the Labor Council, Georgia AFL-CIO, is condemning the raid, calling it a campaign of harassment against immigrant workers. The group says the only federal action justified at the site would be stronger workplace safety enforcement, not detention.
Happy Friday. This is Uncle Mooch. breaking overnight. ICE has raided two plants in Georgia. First, they raided the Hyundai plant. They took over 450 workers from that Hyundai plant. Then they went up the road, no more than 10, 15 miles, and raided another plant. Wasn't a Hyundai plant. This time it was a nutritional bar plant. They make nutritional products. They raided that one and they took 60 workers. So altogether, over 510 workers have been deported from Georgia overnight. So this is the biggest raid that ICE has conducted in its history of creation. So ICE is out there just grabbing people, and most of these people definitely had their paperwork. They were working on a visa, but ICE came in and grabbed them anyway. So now the Hyundai plant has totally stopped. No work is being done, especially when you grab 450 people at one sitting. And the nutritional plant down the road has stopped working as well. So yeah, ice, baby, too cold, too cold. We definitely need to get over there and put in some applications, but you guys be safe out there and watch out for ice and don't slip and fall on the ice. All right. So Uncle Moose signing off.
Yeah, he ain't never lie. Yeah, go get them jobs. I was reading, it literally shut down completely those locations that were raided. Even the next day, they could not really do any kind of business because they lost so many people at one time. So yes, this would be the time. If you're close to those plants, run down there and put them applications in. So remember, Donald Trump said he was going after the criminals, right? You raided a Hyundai plant. You know, they're not going after no criminals. It's the same thing in DC. They said the criminals, the ones that cause all the problems there, they're not even bothering them. They're bothering people getting off from work or at some checkpoint trying to get home, or they'll arrest somebody that's sitting on their own stoop in front of their house, and those are the kind of people they're grabbing up, or somebody just walking down the street. They're not grabbing no criminals, and they're doing the same thing all over the country, claiming they're trying to get the criminals out, but they're just running after soft targets. But hey, when you are illegally here in the country, you better be prepared for anything to happen. And yeah, they will eventually catch up to you. They will. And sometimes you should go with what Donald Trump said, do a self-deportation. That way you don't have to deal with ICE. I think if I was in their position, that's what I would do. I would just get my butt the hell up on out of here. I would not be sitting around waiting for ICE to grab me randomly at any moment. But, these ICE raids are going to ramp up because they're in the process of putting the new applicants that they have out there on the street. I think they said the last time I looked, there was over 100,000 applications put in nationwide of people willing to work for ICE. So that being said, I would say probably in the next month or two, as they train these people, you're going to see them ramping up on all of the things they're doing. And it's going to be a lot more raids going down in this country. Hmm. Yeah, well, YouTube, a bunch of assholes. They're always doing something. If they're not keeping your numbers down, they're harassing my subscribers that are just putting in their damn opinion in the comment section. They're always doing some crap up in here, for real. So, y'all, I mean, I'm not surprised, but just know, those of you that are here illegally, your time is coming to an end in being here. In fact, all of your times are coming to and in, including the Europeans. Y'all, they're still upset. I don't know. Did I do a video? I don't know if I ever did a live on this. I don't think I did. Well, white people are getting upset over there on TikTok because people are now saying, why is everybody up in here hyphenated except for them? Italian American, Black American, everybody is something American except for them. They're just white Americans, right? But they don't have no hyphenation. Well, now people over there are calling them European Americans, and they're having a meltdown. They're having a meltdown. And I said, well, you really think about it, the tables are just turning on them. They sat around labeling us. What have we been? Negro, colored, Afro-American, African-American, Black American. We have been everything. And they've been the culprits in changing who we are like every so many years. Now, I know it was Jesse Jackson that came along with the African American. But yes, they don't like being called European American, but people all over TikTok is doing it and they are literally having meltdowns. I just think it's kind of hilarious. You're just getting a taste of your own medicine. That's all you're getting. Deal with it. Because they are sitting there. I want y'all to stop calling us that. We're white. No, well, they're not going to stop doing it. In fact, they're stepping it all up over there. But yeah, they don't like being labeled. Now you know what that feels like. We didn't like you labeling us anyway, because whatever you come up with, you're not going to have our best interests at heart. That's why there are a lot of people calling themselves FBA. So you did not get to label people this time around. And then some of us are going back to our roots and labeling ourselves Hebrew. Okay, Hebrew, not Black Hebrew. No, that's not what we are. We are Hebrew Israelites. We are not Black, because I know y'all like to toss that in there. We're not. So now that we are taking control over what we are called, yeah. So they can't so much walk up and just give us any more labels, because now we're at the point we're not allowing them to give us those labels anymore. Hmm. Yeah. Caucasian Americans, sunburned Americans. Mr. Brown, you're a mess. Sunburned Americans. Hmm. Yeah, well, I can tell you, y'all, they don't like European American. Oh, they don't like it. They don't like it. They just want to be called white. They want to be the only ones that's not hyphenated. They want to be the only ones, and people are taking that away from them. I saw the other one, troglodyte American. Y'all a trip. It won't be no shortage of names you come up with, that's for sure, right? Oh yeah, they don't like it. And people are all in their comment sections calling them European American. They don't like it. They don't like it. But here's the bottom line. They're not from here either. So in my opinion, it would be more appropriate for them to be European American. They're not from here. Hmm. Boy, they're having a meltdown. I'm just loving it. Don't feel so good when other people label you, right? It don't feel so good. So y'all, the South Korean this week, and they'll be off on somebody else next week, but they have never let up on the Latinos. They're still grabbing their behinds, getting them the hell up on out of here. And I heard their numbers are now declining. You remember how Joe Biden was like, "Oh, well, they're bigger than you." Well, not so much anymore. Their numbers have gone down quite a bit since all of the raids, and that's because some of them have left on their own. And some of them are trying to stay until ICE catches up to them. And, and they're grabbing the kids up. ICE is still going to the schools and grabbing the children up. They're still doing that. Mhm. But yeah, their numbers are now declining in America. Before, they used to be all braggadocious about how they were the next biggest minority community in America. Well, they and notice they're not bragging so much anymore because those numbers are not what they used to be. Mhm. All right, y'all. I got another live stream coming up at 7:45. And Donald Trump said he was going to ease back on raiding farms. Well, guess what? He's raiding farms again. And the farmers are having a meltdown. He said he was going to stop doing that because, a lot of these crops are drying up and rotting. And now they're about to dry up and rot again because ICE is right back on those farms raiding them again. So Donald Trump went back on his word, but hey, what do you expect from a 34 convicted felon? You think he's going to keep his word on anything? Hell no. Hell no, he ain't keeping his word on nothing. So hopefully I will see you all back at 7:45. Shalom, family.